All right, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Don Gallion, and Laura didn't think I was having enough fun today, so I'm going to show you how to grill a turkey on a wood pellet smoker. So usually on Thanksgiving, my family is quite large. So I have 5 kids, 14 grandkids, so we tend to cook more than one turkey. And so the second turkey usually falls to me to cook, rather than the traditional method of in the oven. So I will either fry a turkey or I will do it on the wood pellet stove. And so today I'm going to show you how I do it on the wood pellet stove. Different folks have different recipes and you can do it different ways, but I'm just going to show you one way of doing it on a wood pellet smoker. So first off, I take my turkey and I rub it with a butter mixture of just about any kind of herbs that you'd like. I use rosemary, some thyme, I put some garlic in here, salt and pepper, and then I take it and I rub it on the breast I lift up the skin and I rub this mixture inside the turkey. Get it nice and covered with the butter mixture. I'll go ahead and do this while you're watching. I want to get enough of it on the turkey so that it really melts down and covers it during the cooking. And then what I have left, I'll just kind of rub on the skin. It'll get it a nice brown as it cooks. It's messy, so it's kind of nice doing it out here. Laura, could you do me a favor and hand me that towel there so my hands are a little messy. Once I do that, the wood pellets that I use to do this turkey is cherry. You can use just about anything you want. Some people like hickory, mesquite, oak, but the nice thing about the wood pellet stove is you can get just about any pellet you would like, depending on the flavor. I'm kind of moving to cherry for just about everything I do. I just really enjoy that that flavor that the cherry pellets impart to the meat. I'm going to heat the stove up to 300 degrees, and then the most important thing about cooking a turkey, whether you do it in the oven or on a pellet grill, are the probes. And I use 2 meat probes because I put one in the breast and I put one near the bone in the thigh. And what I'm looking for is about 175 degrees near the thigh, and in the breast I'm looking for about 165. Those 2 temperatures will give you a great turkey that's well done, not undercooked and not overcooked. And you don't want to overcook them, because you overcook them, you know how they get dry. Some people like to brine their turkeys. I don't like a soggy, salty bird, so I don't brine mine. And I find when you smoke them in a pellet stove, they come out very moist. And on top of that, I'm kind of lazy, so I don't like doing all that overnight. So I'm inserting the probe not too deep. You want to get it into the meat, but not to the bone on the breast. And in the thigh area, I've got it right on the bone. So the turkey goes in. I leave it breast up. I have to adjust these probes so they're not going to impact the... And then basically, the nice thing about the pellet stove is you put it in there and you leave it alone. And with a bird about this size, probably 3 hours, we should be done. All right, so we left you with putting the turkey in the Traeger, or the pellet stove. It's been on for about 2.5 hours, and it is done because the probe tells me that the temperature is now 165. So we're going to go ahead and unveil our turkey. This is the fun part of the whole deal, other than eating it. I don't like to puncture the turkey when I take it off, so I like using tongs. So here you go, the finished bird. Now it's off to Bruce to carve.
All right, hey, I'm Bruce and I'm not a chef. Please don't get the impression from my amazing bow tie and the fact that I have knives that I actually know my way around the kitchen. I really don't. In fact, I can find the refrigerator, but my wife lets me deeper into the sanctuary of her kitchen just once a year. Even lets me have my own apron, which is pretty cool. It's really all for the bird. It's all about the bird once a year. So you should get your apron on, and actually I don't have them, but you should have headphones on with some cutting edge music, if you know what I mean, so that you have an excuse for not listening to your wife's instructions. All right, you ready to go on this? First, some orientation. So let's do this fast. Never touch food if you don't know what it is. So let's talk about turkey. Turkey is a large bird native to all of our states except Alaska. Sorry, Alaska. Ben Franklin thought it should be our national bird, but I don't know if we want to be called the turkeys of the world. It is known chiefly for its weird neck. Remember that? And those big tail feathers? If you need to know which side of the turkey the feathers have the most feathers, the answer for your kindergartner is the outside. Now, actually we use a hybrid variety for Thanksgiving. It's not a wild bird. It comes without feathers, minus the ugly parts, the head with that wobbly growth thing that makes it look like an alien from a 50s sci-fi movie. And then its feet are not on there anyway, so not to mention all the innards. Do you love those innards? They kind of come in a swag bag and already moved. They call them giblets, I don't know why. And you can cook them or you can save them for your favorite kid's Christmas stocking. You with me so far? Man, I'm having fun. I hope you are. A turkey is not just a big chicken. Oh man, a turkey actually will cross the road twice just to prove it's not a chicken. Unlike chickens, our all-American bird appears just 1 month a year. You can get chicken anytime. If you're Canadian, however, that would be October because that's when your Thanksgiving is. But in America, it's November, and that's when all 5,500 feathers fall off, the 18 of those famous tail feathers from the male bird, as well as its head and its feet. It's amazing how that happens. Apparently, they crossed a turkey with a banjo and got a bird that plucks itself. All right, follow with me. I have a few jokes intertwined here. You're not supposed to laugh, though. Make sure you don't do that. Now, after November, the bird evidently hibernates, making rare appearances as, in deli sandwiches and disguised as wieners. It's a shy and formal bird. It prefers to be dressed at the dinner table, although for some reason it wears the dressing on the inside. So, not all birds are as reasonable as humans. All right, here we go. So, it actually is a bird, which means that it has wings. And anything with wings is either a bird. I was trying to think about other things. Insects have wings, and buffalo, I've been told. Now, this started out as an egg, and it was much harder to carve as an egg, so you have to kind of wait. And when it comes out, you attack it with a knife. Well, actually, you should wait. It's very small, and so you should have mercy until it gets bigger. The small turkeys are actually called, and by the way, are called goblets. Now, you need to know the weight of your bird in order to get it cooked right. An improperly cooked turkey is a ticking meat bomb of death. So if the turkey giggles when you're moving it to the cutting board, which I will now do, I don't have my lifting tongs here, but I'm going to do it with my hands because this is not particularly wet or greasy or anything. Not much. Let me do this, my handy dandy towel. So if the turkey giggles when you're moving to the cutting board, you should put it back under the flames. So keep a flamethrower handy. Use a thermometer. I don't know, oral or rectal or whatever you want to use. Smoking a turkey, which this is a smoked turkey, which is very international. As I discovered when traveling in Turkey, almost every person in that country smokes continuously. But anyway, smoking is also popular because it lets guys stay outside where they're sort of out of the way. Messing with their Traeger makes them look like they're serious about meat. And guys really enjoy being appreciated for that. And they are not easily attracted to tofu and celery. Plus, guys love machines. So soon, guys, I think they're going to come up with a way to shoot the bird directly onto the dinner table, sort of a grenade launcher of some sort. And Actually, if you could come up with a way to take a ball of tofu and launch it all the way to Portland, you would never get guys inside, even for a Seahawks game. Now to the carving itself, finally. Size is important. This is kind of a small bird, but you could get a very large bird. Now, a large bird, I think the record is 86 pounds. You need a bigger than average knife. Something like this actually would work great because you can get it done. It actually would take you hours to carve a bird that big. And so I recommend using that. Get some goggles and a rubber suit because it gets a little messy. And you should do some practice. It's not easy to find a big bird, so you could use a hedgehog. I think that would work perfectly. Now for a medium bird, which would be like anywhere from 25 to 40 pounds maybe, use a Scottish battle sword. So I keep this one handy in my office because you never know when a renegade turkey will actually invade our church offices. Normally they don't let birds or turkeys into a church office because they use foul language, but anyway, it could happen. Otherwise, or you can use something like this, which I recommend this one because the America's Test Kitchen actually recommends this very one. It's a Black & Decker. It runs like that. It works very well. This one I actually use when I do it at home, but I'm going to actually use a regular carving knife, which is for a smaller bird. And so if you get a smaller bird, this is what you want. Something like this. You need a fork for it, a meat fork. Now I do not recommend these. See, these don't match. And so you don't want matching ones. It looks like you're trying to impress your guests too much, and the turkey really doesn't care. So this is perfect. Black handle. This looks like about 86 years old. And this is almost a brand new carving knife, chef's knife. Got this at a nice store, but it's been used a lot actually. All right, you still with me on this? Now don't forget to name your bird. You may have forgotten on that. This one looks like a female, I would think. It's not easy to tell male or female always, but you don't want to call it an it. That's really offensive to the bird's mother. Determine if it's, it's hard to tell what it is once they remove the feet and of course the fancy feathers. Now, if you decide it's a male, then you are supposed to call it Tom. Why, I don't know. Tom Absher, just any old Tom, I guess. Short for Thomas, which is the name they use for the fancy White House dinners. But Tom for guy turkeys, that's a tradition. Don't mess with it. If it's a female, however, more delicate and tasty, like this babe right here, you get to choose. This bird is a girl, so I want to call her Tam. Instead of Tom, that's Tammy. Or short for Tamis. I don't recommend you use your wife's name. Now be careful when you call this bird beautiful. You look at her, this beautiful golden brown, she's so beautiful. You don't want your wife getting the idea that if you shaved her head and went to a tanning place till her head was golden brown with leathery skin, that you would think she was better looking. But in the world of culinary nomenclature, this bird is beautiful in a I don't know, naked sort of way. It's the way it's supposed to look. If we're out in the wild and met a tom turkey, I don't think he'd be impressed. But we're not in the wild. We're in a kitchen. And this Thanksgiving is going to be amazing if you do just what I tell you. Now put your cutting board in a place where you can sort of be out of the way from all the other stuff going on for Thanksgiving. Keep paper towels handy, which I have here on both sides for the overflow if it's a real juicy turkey. This one I don't think is going to be a problem for that, but if you have lifting forks, use those. Otherwise, if you drop that turkey on the floor, then you're going to Taco Bell for Thanksgiving. They have great tacos, Thanksgiving tacos. Maybe they have them with turkey meat, I don't know. But place the bird on its back, which looks a lot like the other way. In 4 or 5 years, you might figure out which way to do it. This is really a hard turkey. I might as well tell you right now that this turkey came without legs. I don't know if it was in a war or if what happened to it, but it is. These are turkey breasts. So when I talk about legs, it will be your imagination against mine. And we're going to have fun with that, but I want you to know that it won't matter a lot here where I start. Okay, so let's do that. All right, now I want to talk about removing the stuffing. If you have a bird that has stuffing, you need to do that. Which stuffing is supposedly inedible. The stuff my wife makes and puts in a turkey is actually fantastic. But evidently the bird loves it, but smoked turkeys don't need stuffing, so we skip that part. So set your empty platter in a place where you can reach it because you're going to put things on it as you go. Have a piece of aluminum foil handy, cha-cha, so you can put that over there to try to keep your meat, once it's severed from the bird, it's going to cool down a lot faster, so I've been told. And so if you tent this over your meat, you're going to have, everything's going to be happier. All right, so how about starting with the legs? Okay, so here are the legs. There's one over here. You go like this, you cut it off, you crack the joint. Now, if it's not been cooked enough, it's not going to want to come apart very well. You can use a smaller knife to get into that knuckle, and then you snap it off, and you cut it all off, and you take that beautiful, beautiful leg right here, and you put it on your platter here. You do it to the other side. You can do right or left first, it doesn't matter. You can flip a coin and make that happen. And then you put one on one side here, you just have to picture it. It's just beautiful, fanned out like this. The turkey actually has large legs for a bird, and it's necessary to carry all the weight around because the breasts are large, they're heavy. And so when the bird walks, it's got to be able to carry all that weight. Now, the deal is that the breasts need to be so large because that bird needs to fly, but it wouldn't need such big breasts to fly if the legs weren't so big. Are you getting kind of the picture of this? I am so glad that turkeys did not kind of go the way of most other birds, which have bird legs, which are worthless as far as meat goes, even breasts that it's not even worth cleaning the bird for. But here's a turkey. In your Thanksgiving prayer this year, I would suggest you thank God for making turkeys because they're actually a bird, for one thing, to eat. And it's a fantastic thing. Well, at this point, you could take the thighs off right now, and this doesn't have thighs either. So here's a thigh, and here's a thigh. And you could cut those apart. I'm going to talk about those later, but I usually don't take them off yet. I go right to the next stage, which is the furcular. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? The furcular. Everybody practice that, furcular. That's the wishbone. If you come up with Nebraska, you know all about the wishbone. Anyway, in case you accidentally break this bone trying to get it out, make sure that you make a quick wish before you don't even know where it is on this bird. Okay, it's got to be over here. Here we go. So this is going to be kind of fun. I'm not sure this has one. My wish is that it has a wishbone. So you can pull this part out. We don't ever have a camera on this. I'm not sure this is going to work. Okay, so here we go. I made a wishbone kind of incision here, and with your imagination, just like you use for a leg, you can imagine a wishbone. You pull that out, you set that aside. For the kid who lets you eat their pumpkin pie. At this point, the wish I would normally make is, Lord, if this thing breaks, then my wish would be that my wife would not get down on me for talking so much while I'm doing this and for not cutting the bird correctly. Because I have great memories of Thanksgiving. Every time my dad would carve the turkey, my mother would be dissatisfied. She had high expectations of carving perfection. And my dad, he would get going on the breasts and he would be cutting them wrong, and I don't know what she expected exactly, but I always know there was matrimonial problems going on somewhere during the turkey preparation. And so I've been nervous with a knife, my whole life since then. My hand shakes when I have a knife, which is, stand back. So anyway, maybe they both rest in peace. But anyway, you set the furculum aside, or the wishbone, and then you attack the breasts. Now, left and right again, flip another coin, sterilize it under the faucet for a full minute if you don't have two coins to rub together. So you've got your coin, and your mother-in-law will be so impressed that you're really trying to keep things sterile. You wash your hands a lot while you're doing this, or wear rubber gloves of some kind, or vinyl, or what do they make gloves out of? Leather? I don't know. Latex, there you go. Probably latex would be the way to go. So you find the breastbone, which is in the middle. All right. All right, I'm going to say it's right in there. And you go down one side or the other. So I'm going to do one side, then I'm going to cut the other side just to get both sides going. And then basically all we do is track our way down. So the way this bird is made, because it came without all of its parts. You know how that stuff you get from China sometimes is missing some of its parts and you have to send it back? This is one of those birds. So you come in and you just track your way right down the rib cage. And all I'm trying to do is get a piece of meat off of here in one piece. It doesn't matter if I get everything exactly right, but I could use my fork to stabilize this a little bit, but I think I'm going to do it right. All right, so we do it about like that. Try to keep the skin on if you can, and lay it down like so. Kind of do a little skin graft here if you need to. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of making slices like my dad used to do and get in trouble, you just take this and on a bias, you just start cutting sections. And you can make them a ½ inch, something like that, not real thin. You're cutting across the grain, and some of that skin's coming off. It won't work that way for you, this will be perfect. And so I keep doing that. If I have my electric knife, this goes super fast. And I keep doing that all the way down, and then if I have a spatula handy, ta-da, then I will take it like this when I have all of the pieces and I lay it on my platter. And once I do both of them, they look like, you know, like the lungs in a cutaway of human anatomy. And your legs are going like this, crosswise, like this. And then you leave a nice V-shaped area over here for all of the dark meat that you're going to cut. So you're going to take the thighs off. So I'm cutting the thigh off, and then I kind of cut the meat away from that. I don't necessarily use the skin for that, and I will lay it here on the planter and have a big section of dark meat. I'll do the same with the wings, because this is a bird, it's got wings, and it would be very offended if you didn't like the wings and you didn't use them. So you need to do that. This all making sense? This is kind of fun, but I think it's a little weird. So that's the dark meat. And then once you get the platter done, you're imagining this whole thing. Here are the legs, here are the breasts, here's all the dark meat that you've cut off. And at that point, you would garnish it with herbs, which I was going to do, but I didn't have time. And so that's it. You foil over the top, keep it warm, because it doesn't mean everything else is ready for the feast. The dinner bell rings. The rest of the meat can be picked off later for turkey sandwiches. And so, I love turkey sandwiches the day after. And then you could take the carcass and you could put it in your Instapot with 10 cups of water and make this amazing soup, which has all the tryptophans you'd ever need to keep you totally asleep all day on Friday, which is Black Friday. You will never be tempted to go out and shop. And if your wife doesn't like any of this, she doesn't like the platters, she doesn't like the taste, she doesn't like whatever, then put on your coats and go to Taco Bell. So that's the best I can do. Happy Thanksgiving. Are you listening, or am I doing this for nothing? If I'm wasting my time when I could be studying the Bible, are you kidding?